everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dayton Drama Queens. I'm Josh Stucky.
I'm Philip Drennen.
Some big news to start off our show today. First of all, congratulations on the full Monty.
Thank you. Congratulations to you and the full Monty.
It was so much fun.
Oh, loved it.
We had such a great time doing that show.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who came out to see it. The audiences were amazing.
Amazing.
So
and
good.
I think the convention center needed a little shot in the arm.
For sure.
It's kind of fun to bring it all together. But on top of that, tell us real quickly about your nomination in New York City.
Yeah, so Big Gay Jamboree, my musical, got nominated for 5 Lucille Lortel Awards, which is really cool. It celebrates off-Broadway theater.
Yeah. Which is
So including Best Musical.
Yes.
So I get to get all dolled up and go to the award ceremony and lose to Drag the Musical, probably.
Yay. Well, that's...
You drag queens win everything.
You got that right. Anyway, we have an exciting show for you today. From the Co, Heather Jones is with us today. And where are we going to begin and end on this? I don't know. There's so much to talk about. But first of all, Heather, where are you from? How'd you get to Dayton? Have you always been here? Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was actually born in Dayton, Ohio, but I've never actually lived here. So I grew up in Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
My dad's from Miamisburg. My mom is from Franklin. So, they kind of moved to the big city of Cincinnati. But I always came, up this way from down the state, to visit family.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I live in Springboro now. My husband teaches painting at the University of Dayton. So we've been, in the greater Dayton region, I would say, for the last 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're with the Co now.
I am with the Contemporary now,
What is your job there? What are you doing with the Co?
So I am the curator and director of programs and of engagement.
Awesome.
Wow.
To get that whole thing in.
Yeah.
It's a long title, but yes, I'm excited to be there. I've had a relationship with them, in a different capacity. I had an exhibition there of my work in 2022. So it's been fun to sort of shift from, an associate, a fan, a member to being part of the team.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's ever growing.
Ever growing.
Yes.
Yes. Always changing.
So you and your husband are both artists.
We
then.
are.
Is that how you met?
We did. Yeah. We
Okay.
met. We both were at the University of Cincinnati. I was getting my master's degree in art history and he was getting his MFA in painting. So we met at a Halloween party.
Oh my God.
I met my husband at a Halloween
You
party.
did? Awesome. What were you?
I was. Have you ever seen the movie Baby Driver? I was Baby Driver.
Awesome.
And he was generic 80s rock band
Nice.
person.
Big hair.
Big hair.
Big hair.
Yeah. And then when I met him after that, I was like, wait, that's not your hair.
Oh my God. That is so funny. That's so cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
So, on top of the Co, you're a quilter. Is that what they're called? Or
Well, I would say I work in textiles and painting. So
Textiles,
even before,
yes. Okay.
and I have made quilts and I wrote a book on quilt making, but before that I was a painter. I sort of shifted to textiles when I had kids.
Oh, really?
We had 2 babies 18 months apart, which was a little crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not necessarily planned, but that's just how it happened.
Yeah,
And so I wanted to continue a practice, but still be able to take care of my kids and not worry about them eating paint and that kind of stuff. So
Was that kind of why the shift happened?
exactly why. Yeah. I mean, I always had this affinity and I collected quilt making or I collected quilts and but didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, it allowed me to have, to make work and be a mother and not have to worry about them getting into things. Or, I didn't have much time obviously. So it was something I had set up in my dining room and I could, pop and do some things for a few minutes and then
That's
do my
interesting.
day-to-day life. Yeah.
So when you started with textiles and things, was that something that you were just like, I'm going to see how this goes? Or, when you're kind of switching mediums, obviously you probably kind of need to learn how to use them.
Sure.
How did you go about that? Or did you just say, I'm just going to see what happens?
A little bit of both. I mean, I taught myself. I made them quilts. I made my babies quilts when they were born.
Okay.
I had a great aunt that made me one, and it was just something that you do. So, it was a little bit of both. I was sort of purposely changing it to work in that material, but then, also thinking like, well, this might make sense with how my life is right now.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Was it? Do you feel a relationship between painting and quilting, or are they completely?
I do. Yeah. And the works that I make now, they have some similar techniques than a quilt might have.
Okay.
But they're not quilts. It's almost like I'm using textiles as the paint. So geometric shapes, colors.
Gotcha.
But there's this luminosity that textiles naturally have that paint doesn't. So plus I love like the connection of the history of textiles and women. So that's something that's really, interesting to me.
I was going to say, what's kind of your biggest inspiration when you're deciding to start a piece?
Yeah. Color, shape, movement. But again, like I think conceptually thinking, I'm really fascinated, quilt making in particular was something that women for a long time could do. A lot of my ancestors are from Appalachia, Eastern Kentucky. And so there's that long history. And so I just sort of, I think, gravitated to that because it feels very, intuitive to me to work with this. I like the tactile nature of being able to like get your hands on things rather than, using a brush.
Yeah, for sure.
Although I've started painting again more frequently. So
okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
Now
it's
that the kids are a little older.
Well, now that they're teenagers. But there's this nice conversation between like my textile work and the paintings. So I'm excited to sort of continue that path.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you had a show at the Co.
I did.
Is that how you ended up getting involved working there, or was it? How did that all come to pass?
Yeah, and I was in a group show back when it was back in those days.
My gosh, which was right next door.
It was right next door.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've had a relationship with Eva and the team there for a while.
Yeah.
And had a solo show there in 22, and then just have been a supporter of the place. And, Eva reached out and I'm glad to help and excited to jump in. I've done some curating, over the last, 10 years.
Okay.
My husband and I have a project space over at Front Street. So it's called Divisible.
So much fun there.
It is so much fun. And I have a studio there. It's a great space. The manager, Carol and Richard are amazing. So it's fun to sort of push my, use my creativity in a different way with this new role. Yeah. So I'm really excited.
And don't you just feel like, we talk about this every episode, but don't you just feel like Dayton has this incredible art vibe that,
Yes.
And it's so nourished, by our community. Which
and
is,
it's, again, having grown up in Cincinnati, Cincinnati has its own different art vibe, but it's a much bigger city. So I think what's exciting about Dayton is that it's smaller and more intimate and, but it's really thriving and it has a history, going back to the Deal sisters and, funk and, all of these. It really does. So it's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when you're, say, curating a show, do you say, I want X, Y, and Z and seek that out? Or is it more you maybe see an artist or a piece and you say, okay, how can I work around that? Or is it a little...
It's a little bit of both. Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Fortunately in my role as an artist, I've been able to travel and not stay in Ohio. I've spent time in New York, abroad. So I've been able to learn and know a lot of different artists. So I'm familiar with a lot of, things on the contemporary scene. So a lot of it is thinking about, and I think it also depends on the show. Like, is it a solo show? Is it, what we're interested in showing at the space? But it's sort of pulling from people or maybe artwork that I know, or coming up with a theme that would be an interesting topic to sort of build an exhibition around.
Yeah. So I understand you also have a connection to the World Trade Center.
I do, yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah, I did a residency there in fall of 22 to 23.
Okay.
Yeah, in one of the new buildings. But prior to the September 11th attacks, there was an artist residency program. So I was a participant in a program called Silver Art Projects. And it was a 10-month program. So I was going back and forth between New York City and here a lot. So, again, I think my role first and foremost is a wife and mother, but I'm also an artist. So it's there's a lot of juggling in my life.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Do you look at your children and think they're going to be artists, or did they inherit that gene?
They're both very creative. They're both very different. They are both very much into theater. We would always joke, like, it started when, I think our son Aiden was like 3 and Olivia was like a year and a half. They do dinner theater. Like we would cook dinner, and after dinner we'd clean up, and they'd put on little shows like every night.
Oh, that's so cute.
And it still happens. Like not as frequently, but just the other day we were, my husband Jeff and I were cleaning up after dinner, and here they come out, and just look, it's dinner theater again. So it's so awesome, like, to see their creativity. Olivia, our daughter, is very much into theater, but also into painting. And our son's a big history buff, so he's very creative. It's just a different kind. Yeah.
I love that. When I was little, speaking of that, my mother would always make me dress up in drag, and I would sing Petula Clark songs.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know who this woman was, right?
Yeah, right.
So then a few years later, we go to see Sunset Boulevard in Columbus, and it's Petula Clark.
Oh, my
gosh.
gosh.
The show.
Oh, awesome.
And Mom's like, that's who we dressed you up as. And I'm like, that's who you dressed me up as.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
looked
so
at you and they were like, you know what?
Yeah.
hysterical. So do you take your kids to like the area museums here, Dayton Art Studios?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they love that stuff.
They do.
That's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
So what do you do in your other time? I mean, outside of
Other
doing...
time.
Oh, right. You're like, what is that?
I mean, I know it's like between, especially on Front Street, there's so
Yeah.
much to do within
There
that
is so
building.
much to do,
And
yeah.
that's like an artist community.
It really is.
It's incredible.
It's an incredible community.
Yeah.
And again, I will say, the new managers, I mean, they've been there 7 or so years,
Yeah.
but I was there prior and it was a totally different ballgame.
Oh,
than it is
really?
now.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
they've really built the community.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I love to garden. I like to bake.
I'm a gardener and a baker
I
as
do
well.
love to go thrifting.
Are you
Estate
a
sales.
thrifter? I love
yeah,
a
it's all
thrifter.
fun.
Yes. My God.
Yeah.
We have to get together.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. It'll be so fun.
So what's going on at the Co right now? What's coming up?
Gosh,
Anything that's excitement?
Yes.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, we are getting ready to open 3 exhibitions in the middle of May. So we're sort of in between shows right now. So we're busy de-installing and installing. But I'm excited. It's my first inaugural
that's
set of
right.
exhibitions.
Okay.
Exciting.
3 women artists, all who deal with the figure in different ways. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, we have the art of Laura Sanders, who's Columbus and New York-based artist. Beautiful, lush oil paintings. We are also showing the work of Erin Holscher-Almazan. She teaches printmaking and drawing at the University of Dayton. She's working on a new series of oil paintings on paper that sort of speak about, as your children grow, they need you less. Which is how it's supposed to be. But as a mother, it's a little like, pulls on your, so I can relate to that as well.
Sure.
And then I'm excited to show 2 videos and a sculpture by Christine Gaffney.
Okay.
She is based in the Dayton area, but, has an MFA from California Institute of the Arts, which is a huge art school. So it's really excited. All their work is very different, but it's also kind of meshes well.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I've heard when you came onto this position, I'll just share with you.
Okay.
People were saying you're going to elevate where the Co is and elevate that whole idea of bringing the fine arts back into Dayton.
Nice.
Just hearing what you just told us, it feels so exciting.
Yeah, it is
I was going to
exciting.
say,
I'm
it does feel
excited.
exciting.
Yeah. Especially the whole female thing, which I think is
Yes.
so important.
I agree.
So many times. Now,
Yeah.
we also have another artist in Dayton who's kind of on the rise, and that's Zach Armstrong.
Of course, yeah.
Tell me
Zachary
what you know
Armstrong.
about him, because I collected his art early on, and people
did.
thought it was cuckoo, and now he's like amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably made a good investment there.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, no, Zachary's great. We actually just showed the work that he curated of his father's, mostly ceramics,
Yes,
but
that's
contemporary.
right.
So yeah, I mean I know Zachary sort of peripherally.
Okay.
Been to his studio a few times. His studio is amazing. If you ever get the chance to go, I highly recommend it. But yeah, he's an incredible artist.
Yeah.
And he works in caustic, which is this like wax and pigment.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It's
so
cool stuff.
it's very cool. Yeah.
It's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
unique and unusual. Does your husband do shows with his art?
Oh,
or-
he does. Yeah. He's he has shown all over the world.
Wow.
He has a gallery in Columbus.
Oh, okay.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Gosh, you guys.
And
are
he's primarily a painter.
Painter, yeah.
Okay.
Abstract, minimalist landscapes.
Okay.
But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
teaches painting. He's the painting professor at the University of Dayton.
Gotcha.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So outside of all of this,
Yes.
I mean, there's so many other things. Tell us a little bit more about the Dayton art scene. What do you think about like theater, things like that?
Oh, I
do
love
you guys
theater.
get involved outside of that? Does he do, you do anything that might be related to
I did one play in high school.
Oh.
one play in high school?
Yes.
That was enough.
Well, it was my senior year, and I was like, well, if I'm, I might as well try this.
Sure.
We did Dracula, and I was the doctor. I can't even remember maybe it was Van Helsing. It was a
Yes,
male
Van
character,
Helsing.
but they let me be a female. So I was
Okay.
Lucy's mother.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it was good. I'm glad I did it. I didn't want to do it again.
Yes.
But my
scary.
husband did a lot of theater growing up.
Yes.
And our kids love it. So yeah, I mean, we're always going to shows. Oh my gosh, our kids did a ton of theater at Town Hall in Centerville growing up. But yeah, we're always seeing shows
And you, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say all
Yes.
that stuff feels connected. Even when you were saying like baking and gardening, like I feel like all of us, whatever sort of art medium you're in, you tend to be drawn to similar things.
Yeah. I mean, that's just creativity. Creativity in I think all aspects of your life.
For sure.
Yeah, it doesn't end at 5. It's just kind of, I think, who you are.
Speaking of that, beyond that, haven't you written a book?
I did.
Tell us about the book. I almost forgot that.
It's like my 3rd child.
Oh my gosh.
I wrote a book. It came out in 2015. It was published by Abrams, called Quilt Local: Finding Inspiration in the Everyday.
Okay.
So it contained projects. I mean, it's sort of a book with instructions and patterns. So if someone wanted to duplicate patterns that I wrote, they could do that. But I also included chapters on color theory, because I'm a huge fan of color, but also sort of the ins and outs of just basic quilt making.
Yeah.
So if you were interested in that, but a complete novice, do you feel like your book would be a good? Okay.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
That's great.
So you could do quilt lessons? Like,
I have in the past.
Okay. That's something I would think would be fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sort of self-taught in that area, but I've done lessons, and I've done things online. There's a website called creativebug.com, which you can go and take classes with me virtually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're a little old. They're about 10 years old. But
Well, the information's still good.
the information's still good. Yes. My hair's a little darker.
Oh my gosh.
That's me.
So, we're in this weird political climate.
Yeah.
We're all a little bit worried about the arts.
Oh, yes.
And what do you think we can do to like make them more accessible to people? One thing we talk about on our show a lot, I'm sure you've seen the show, is people are intimidated by the art world.
Yes.
What can we do? I mean, how do we get people more involved, in your opinion, to keep it like accessible and alive?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question, and it doesn't have just one answer. I mean, I'm a big proponent of art education. I've taught a lot in different capacities, and I think as a parent too. I mean, it's like everybody starts out as an artist, right? I mean, you give a 2-year-old some crayons and they know what to do like instinctively. So I think it's important to foster that. Obviously, people move away from it, but I think just making sure that it is more accessible to people, if that's free programming through places like the Contemporary, if it's, inviting people to Front Street to show them that we do have this thriving community here in Dayton, just any way to make it as accessible as possible. But I also think, and it is, a scary political time, but sometimes the best artwork comes out of that.
Exactly.
So I think, it will be interesting to see, even though like the arts and things like that are under attack, nothing's going to stop people from creating.
Absolutely.
No matter what.
It can't.
So it can't.
Yeah.
As we said, it's in us. Like we don't leave it at the door when we come home. So I think if anything, it's just going to foster some really good work.
I was sharing a statistic yesterday. I teach at Wright State, and I was sharing with the kids that 10-year-olds, 96% of 10-year-olds consider themselves creative.
Wow.
By the time we're in middle school, that drops down to 45%.
Isn't that wild?
So something happens.
Yeah.
Something happens that makes people feel more judged.
Yeah.
About their creative side.
Yeah.
And I think the way you put it is exactly right. Just let people be free to do their thing.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without this feeling of, oh God,
Well, I
somebody's
think
gonna...
too, when you're a kid saying, I want to be an artist, I want to be a movie star,
Right.
It seems like almost like a childlike dream.
Right.
But people actually do grow up and do this.
Yeah,
for a
no,
living.
for sure.
Or
Right.
it'll lead you to another path where you
Right.
become a curator or
That's
a director or,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you.
Yeah.
But within that field, but
Yeah.
you kind of have to come up doing it and learning these aspects in order to get there. So yeah, exposing your kids to it early. I mean, it's not a frivolous thing.
No, and I think even if they don't end up in the art field, I mean, just to have this creative sense of problem solving,
Right.
coming up with other ways, no matter if you are, I don't know, a history teacher, an accountant, but just having some sort of way to look at the world in a different lens,
sure.
or even challenges, just, again, it's about creative problem solving.
Yeah.
It is.
And I think so, no matter whether or not that person becomes an artist in any sense of the word, but just to have that sort of creative skill set, in their day-to-day
And I
thinking.
think finding your people too.
Of
I
course.
mean,
Yeah, that's
I
huge.
always played sports when I was a kid, and I was like, I hate this. My dad was my coach, so I was like, I'll show up, but I hate
yeah.
it. But and then I didn't do theater until late in high school. And I was
wow.
oh,
This is
these
where
are my
you're supposed to be.
people.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing, and I think that's why community is so important.
Yes,
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my sister has a BFA as well. And one of the
Awesome.
things she always says is people, when they retire or when people get older, they're like, oh, I think I'm going to go take a couple art classes.
Yeah.
She's like, why do we wait till we get to that phase in our life?
Right.
You know, and it's kind of like you revert back to that little kid again, trying to, you know, discover other sides of yourself, which we should be doing our entire existence.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Heather, thank you so much.
I was going to say thank you. How do we find out about what you're doing, what the Co is doing? Where do we find you?
Yeah, you can find me on my website, which is heatherjonesstudio.com, or you can find us at thecodayton.org.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
This has been
check
incredible.
it out.
It's been incredible.
Thank you.
So much to learn. And please tell your husband if he ever wants to join us. There's room on the couch.
Oh, he would love it. Yeah,
we would love to have him.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been great talking once again with all of you. Thank you so much for encouraging us. And things are going so well. And we did get some feedback on our new studio.
I know, you loved it.
And people asking about doing remotes. And I mean, it's like crazy what's out there to do.
For sure. Dayton loves the arts.
They do. Yes. They do. We need to thank Mitosis and Tyler for all he's done for us.
Thank you.
Also, Square One, who's our major sponsor. And also to Theater Lab, who's been really helpful in keeping this thing going as well.
Absolutely.
So Heather, thank you. Philip, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time on the Dayton Drama Queens. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.